Hey, it's Thorn, and this is a video all about my new pedal board that I just had built by Dave Friedman at Rack Systems in North Hollywood. Dave's done all my pedal board and rack work for about 15 years, and they do a great job there, so check them out. Basically, for about 5 years, I've been using what's called a wet-dry wet rig. It consists of an effects rack, a 12-space rack that I have all my effects in, and my switching that controls the my PT100 amplifier, all the channel switching, all that stuff, as well as all my effects switching. And there's a power amp in the rack as well. There's a floorboard that has a MIDI controller and volume control, a wah pedal, and an expression pedal, and my tuner on it. There's 3 speaker cabinets. Okay, there's a center cabinet that's dry, that gets no effects in it. It's just an amp signal going right into it. And then there's 2 112 cabinets that have effects in them, delays and reverbs and stuff like that. Those get hard panned. And so you've got this wonderful rig that you can independently control the dry signal and the effects signal, and you can do just about anything with it, and it's awesome. There's a lot of advantages to it. I've noticed a couple downsides though recently. And the number one downside is there's no way I could fit all that stuff in my car and cart it to a session in town or you know, a local gig or something, and I'm just too lazy to do it even if I could do it. So the other downside is that I think in some of the bigger bands that I'm in, where there's another guitar player and 2 keyboard players and this kind of thing, I think the wet-dry-wet thing gets lost on the audience, possibly. It's just a little bit overkill. Works great in a band if you're in, say, a trio or a 4-piece or something. In some of the bigger groups, though, I think it might be overkill. So as of late, I started thinking about designing a pedal board that would be really versatile, that I could use with some different types of amp rigs. It'd be small enough that I could carry it around town and fit it in my car myself, but it'd be big enough and powerful enough that I can basically do everything I can do with my big rack wet-dry-wet rig with. So I'm going to go over what pedals I chose for the board today, and also detail for you the different types of scenarios that I believe I'll be using it in, different types of combinations of amps and whatnot. So I'm going to go over that now. Okay, so amp setup number 1. This is the way I'll probably be using the pedal board most of the time. It's with my PT100 amplifier head, and so I had to design a pedal board that would be able to channel switch the amp and switch the boosts and do all that stuff. I wanted a bunch of pedals in front of the amp, all my gain-based stuff like fuzzes and overdrives, and then I wanted to be able to run delays and reverbs, time-based stuff in the effects loop of the amp. I also wanted to be able to use 2 amps in stereo if I wanted to. Okay, the second type of configuration I wanted to be able to do with this new pedal board was running into a clean amp. Say I had to rent an amp on the road, or there was just like a Fender Twin or something at a session, and I wanted to be able to use the board like that. So in this case, I'd want to be able to run all the effects right into the front of the amplifier, including the time-based stuff. So I designed the board to be able to do that as well. Okay, in configuration number 3, I wanted to be able to run all the effects into the front of 2 different amps and A/B those amps. So in other words, I could use like a Twin and a Marshall or something, get like clean and dirty using 2 amps with all the effects running into the front. In order to do this, I incorporated a device from RJM called the Why Not, which is a MIDI A/B box, and it'll do A/B/Y, so I could run 2 amps at once if I want. It's really cool. One thing that's very important to me when it comes to effects and switching and pedal boards is presets. I like to hit one button and have multiple things change all at once. You know, my effects and my amp channels and whatever I want to change, I just want to hit one button and have it all happen. So I've gotten used to using MIDI and switching systems over the years. There's this great breed of new products out that are basically like MIDI foot controllers, but that also have audio loops in them for your pedals. And they also have switching functions, most of them, so that you can channel switch your amp and whatnot, control you know, everything with one button push. So the one I chose is the Musicom Lab Effects Mark III. It's just awesome. It's really compact, and it's got 8 loops in it, so you can plug in, you know, 8 loops of pedals, different pedals into each loop. And it's also got 4 external switching functions, so I can channel switch my amp and turn the boost on and off. It's got a MIDI out, so I'm controlling my Strymon timeline delay with it, as well as my Line6 M9. It's got a tuner send and a built-in buffer that sounds great, And also within presets, you can access an instant access mode that allows you to turn loops on and off. So say you want to, just on the fly turn your fuzz pedal on even though it wasn't programmed in the preset, you can do that. And you can also channel switch your amp and whatnot on the fly and do all that stuff. So it's very cool. So in order to be able to use this pedal board with the different types of amp configurations that I detailed earlier, I designed a kind of unique patching system on the left side of the board. So there's an output for the Musicom Lab switcher, there's ins and outs for the Timeline and M9 units, and there's also an input and A and B outs for the AB box. So I can just patch things in as I see fit and as the amp configuration dictates. I don't have to use the AB box, for example. I'm not always running through it, and it works really well. Okay, so I wanted to show you what each of the amp channels sounds like with no effects added or anything, just to start with. So using the Musicom switcher, I'll go between channel 1, 2, and 3, and then turn on the tube boost. This is channel 1. Just a great clean. Going over to channel 2, you get a nice crunch sound. Like a rhythm crunch. Going to channel 3, things get louder and a little gainier. Okay, and then I can switch the tube boost in on top of that for like lead gain, basically. Okay, first up in loop 1, I've got the Carl Martin compressor. I love this pedal and I just leave it on my cleans all the time, basically. So here's the sound of the amp with no compression. Turning on the pedal. Again, off. And on. I like it because it just gives a bit more body to my cleans and just pumps up the sound a little bit. Okay, next up is loop 2. In loop 2 I actually put 2 pedals because I ran out of loops, so I had to double up somewhere. So I thought, okay, loop 2 I'll put a vibe and a fuzz. So I chose the Mojo vibe first up for a vibe. And it does traditional vibe sort of chorusing as well as vibrato. So this is it in its chorus mode. Okay, very cool. I can also switch channels on the amp over to a lead sound and get this going. Vibe for lead playing is really fun. So going back over to the clean sound now, switching over to the vibrato mode on the vibe, you can get this kind of thing happening. Okay, I love that sound too as well, so it's a very cool pedal. Okay, on to the next pedal in loop 2, it's the Boss Hyper Fuzz. So why the Hyper Fuzz? Well, it's a great sounding fuzz in its own right, I really like it, and also it works great on a buffered pedal board. Usually I use a wireless when I'm plugged into this board live, and fuzzes sound terrible with buffers before them, and wirelesses are buffered out with low impedance outputs. So germanium fuzzes just don't want to see a low impedance out. But this Boss Hyper Fuzz works great. So check it out. Here's the sound with no fuzz. Turning it on. Kind of sounds Octavia-ish to me. Lots of fun. Okay, next up in loop 3, I chose the EVH Flanger. I've got to have the EVH Flanger on every board that or rack or whatever that I have, because it's awesome. Alright, next up we got loop 4. It's the Phase 90 74 custom shop version from MXR, and I love MXR Phase 90s. It's just such a killer effect. I gotta have that on every board and rack that I have too. So with no phaser, it sounds like this. Turning it on, the knob's at about 11 o'clock. That awesome, chewy, warm analog phasing. Sounds really cool up faster too for like faux kind of organ stuff. Well, Phase 90 on its slowest setting, something Van Halen used a ton on leads. It gives a nice, slow, subtle sweep to your lead tone. A little alliteration for you there. Here's the sound with no phaser. Now with it. Okay, I've got a Tone Freak Abunai 2 in loop 5, and it's a killer overdrive in kind of the tube screamer vein. I'm running the level high and the drive low to use it as a boost. And hit an American style clean with this and it'll give you like Texas blues overdrive, or hit a Brit style amp with it and it'll send your leads over the top. So here's the sound with no pedal. And now with the pedal. Alright, this is the Abunai 2 through the PT100 channel 2, so this is more of a Marshally kind of bass sound, and then I'm boosting the sound with the Abunai. Here's the sound with no pedal. Now with the pedal. Okay, next up in loop 6, I've got the Suhr Koko boost. It's a clean boost and mid boost in one pedal, which makes it super versatile. So the clean boost side first, let's listen to that. It's just straight clean gain. It's just gonna, you know, punch up your sound and make whatever you're playing louder. Here's the sound with no pedal. Hitting the pedal. So that's toggling it on and off. Alright, now for the mid-boost side of the Suhr Koko boost. So I've got the mid-level on about half, and I'm on the PT channel too, so I'm going to be boosting a already distorted sound with this to give it a real like nasal cutting thing. It's cool, it makes it cut right through the mix. So here's the sound with no pedal. Hitting the Koko. Okay, it'll make your solos really scream. It's not unlike turning a wah on halfway, kind of for that Michael Schenker thing, like if I do this. That's a little more extreme, but it's in the similar vein. So here's the Koko again. It's a blast. Okay, next up in loop 7, I got the Carl Martin Acetone. This is a brand new version of this pedal. It's a new small, sort of standard pedal format version. They also make an older version that's bigger. I'm lucky enough to have one of the first ones, and I'm using it to kind of do a small combo, barely breaking up rhythm tone. You know, the PT100 is an American style clean 100 watts. This turns it into more of a small broken up amp sound. So it sounds like this without the pedal. Turning on the pedal. So I use it when I need that kind of small amp breaking up thing, but you can also bump the gain up and, you know, get quite a more, this is only at 10 o'clock now in the gain. And then you could like hit it with another pedal to you know, boost it into solo territory. That's the Abunai 2 running into the Acetone. So Acetone's a very cool pedal. I've got the Analogman King of Tone version 4 in loop 8, and I'm mainly using it as my second low gain overdrive, and man, what a pedal this is. I got it the day that I actually got this pedal board. Mike from Analogman sent me the pedal the same day, and I had to put it on the board right away. I had something else there, which was also a great pedal, but this one just blew me away. It's a great full range, just killer warm fat overdrive. So here's the sound without the pedal, and now with the King of Tone. Okay, so you can also turn on the second side of the Analogman, which has like a, you know, a high gain thing going on. You can stack it, which is great too. I'm using it mainly for that sort of, you know, clean low gain overdrive rhythm tone though. So I chose the Strymon Timeline as my delay on this board. It's my favorite delay pedal. I just love it. I've got it running in the loop of the PT100 most of the time, or I can run it in front of the amps as well if I like, but it generally lives in the loop. It sounds great there. I've got the expression pedal on my board dedicated to the Strymon, so it'll control mix or feedback or whatever I want per preset. And I love having that so I can blend in delay. Take it out if I want, you know, control it per patch within the preset. So I'm just going to show you a couple sounds that I've been inspired by recently. There's a full demo of this pedal on my YouTube channel, so I don't want to focus on it too much. But this is a nice ambient wash sound first, and then the second one's a great U2 sound, like the edge that I pulled off the net. Here we go. So I chose the Line6 M9 as kind of a good all-around effect unit to handle things like reverbs, tremolos, any modulation, things like that. I'm not a big chorus guy, but I can do chorus with it as well. Not really doing any gain stuff with it because it's in the effects loop of the amp mainly. Basically, you can store on the M9 these things called scenes, which are like little pedal boards that pop up with 6 different pedals on them. And you can store the state of that scene per preset. So it's like you can have a virtual pedal board pop up, and whether or not you want the pedals to be on when you recall that virtual pedal board, that can be stored as well. So usually I've got everything off in the M9 when it pops up in a preset, and then I can just toggle things on and off as I see fit. So my basic little pedal board has an opto tremolo, sounds like this. Also a bias tremolo, sounds like this. Just kind of like a little more lumpy sounding. And then I've got an analog chorus with a fast rate and a low depth. I've got a dimension style chorus. Okay, a spring reverb. And then a real big reverb for kind of like ambient stuff. So I've never been a big wah-wah guy, but Eddie Van Halen actually turned me on to his EVH wah, and I love it. It's got this fat, cutting mid thing that just sends your amp into oblivion. So it sounds great. Here's what it sounds like.